Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Lalema Aneja Dang, and with me is Renuka with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi undertakes aerial survey of cyclone-affected areas in Odisha and West Bengal. Prime Minister announces financial assistance of 1,000 crore rupees for states affected by Cyclone Yas for immediate relief activities. Ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees each to the next of kin of deceased and 50,000 rupees to the seriously injured. COVID recoveries continue to outnumber daily new cases for the 15th consecutive day. National recovery rate further improves to 90.34%. More than 1,86,000 new corona-related cases registered in the last 24 hours. 20 crore 57 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. DGCA extends suspension of scheduled international passenger flights till 30th of June in view of COVID-19 pandemic. Centre approves substantial hike in salary of National Health Mission employees in Jammu and Kashmir. Election Commission postpones by-election to one seat of Rajya Sabha from Kerala due to the outbreak of second wave of COVID-19. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise, we appeal to our listeners not to lower their guard, take all precautions, and all those above 45 years of age who have taken the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine to get vaccinated with the second dose at the scheduled time. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Odisha and West Bengal to review the situation arising out of Cyclone Yas today. He undertook an aerial survey of the cyclone-affected areas in Bhadrak and Baleshwar districts of Odisha and Purba Medinipur in West Bengal. In Bhubaneswar, Mr. Modi chaired a meeting to review the relief and rehabilitation measures being undertaken. The Prime Minister was briefed that maximum damage due to Cyclone Yas happened in Odisha and some parts of West Bengal and Jharkhand have also been affected. The Prime Minister has announced a financial assistance of 1,000 crore rupees for states affected by Cyclone Yas for immediate relief activities. 500 crore rupees would be immediately given to Odisha. Another 500 crore rupees has been announced for West Bengal and Jharkhand, which will be released on the basis of the damage. The centre will deploy an interministerial team to visit the states to assess the extent of damage, based on which further assistance will be given. Mr. Modi assured the people of Odisha, West Bengal and Jharkhand that the union government would closely work with the state governments at this difficult time, extend all possible assistance for restoration and rebuilding of the infrastructure in the affected areas. The Prime Minister expressed his complete solidarity with all those who suffered due to the cyclone and expressed deep sorrow to the families who have lost their kin during the calamity. He announced an ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees to the next of kin of the deceased and 50,000 rupees to the seriously injured in the cyclone. Mr. Modi said, "We have to continue the focus towards more scientific management of disasters, as the frequency and impact of cyclonic systems are increasing in the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. Communication systems, mitigation efforts and preparedness have to undergo a major change." He also spoke about the importance of building trust among people for better cooperation in relief efforts. The Prime Minister appreciated the preparedness and disaster management activities by the government of Odisha, which has resulted in minimal loss of lives. He also noted that the state has embarked on long-term mitigation efforts for dealing with such natural disasters. He also mentioned that disaster mitigation has been given emphasis by the Finance Commission too, by provisioning for mitigation funds to the tune of 30,000 crore rupees.
Remnants of Cyclone Yas has shifted to neighbouring states Bihar and Uttar Pradesh after leaving a trail mark in Jharkhand. The cyclone had developed into a low-pressure depression after making an entry in the state. Districts situated in north and northwestern areas of Jharkhand are still receiving intermittent spells of rainfall accompanied with thunderstorm and squally winds at 10 km per hour. More from our Ranchi correspondent.
Districts close to Bihar and Uttar Pradesh have been put on yellow alert by the weather department as rainfall with thunderstorm can be witnessed in Sahibganj, Chatra, Giridih, Hazaribagh, Kodarma, Dumka, Pakur, Devghar, Godda and Latehar districts. Relief and rescue operations are being carried out in Saraikela Kharsawa, West and East Singhbhum districts as NDRF teams have been deployed there. Electricity also been restored in many parts of the state. Shilpi, AIR News, Ranchi.
The centre has announced a financial assistance of 500 crore rupees for Odisha for post-cyclone relief and rehabilitation measures. The announcement was made following the visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Odisha to assess the impact of the cyclone. More from our Bhubaneswar correspondent.
Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, who accompanied the Prime Minister during his brief tour to Odisha today, has said that the Modi government has once again stood shoulder to shoulder with people of the state. While thanking the Prime Minister for providing immediate financial assistance to cyclone-ravaged Odisha, Mr. Pradhan said that the Government of India will deploy an interministerial team to assess the full extent of the damage caused by the recent cyclone. Meanwhile, power and water supply has been restored in a large part of the area impacted by the cyclone, even as substantial tracts of land continue to be underwater, along with many villages. Girish Chandradar, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
Bihar is witnessing heavy rain across the state for the last 48 hours. A maximum of 251 millimeters rain was recorded at Manihari in Katihar district of the state. Rail and road traffic were disrupted at several places due to uprooting of trees. After 14 hours, air traffic was restored this afternoon at Patna Airport. The Railways has cancelled 15 trains till tomorrow. Besides standing crops, mango and lychee crops were damaged in several districts due to the strong winds. The Met Department said that Cyclone Yas has now converted into a low-pressure area and it entered into eastern Uttar Pradesh today through the Rohtas district of Bihar with a wind speed of 30 to 40 kilometers per hour.
Majority of the districts in eastern Uttar Pradesh are witnessing continuous rain from the last 36 hours as an effect of the cyclone Yas. Spells of heavy rain have also been reported from a few places. Gorakhpur, Varanasi, Chandauli, Azamgarh, Siddharthnagar, Balrampur, Balia, Mao and adjoining areas have witnessed mild to moderate rainfall today. Meanwhile, the IMD has issued a red color warning for 3 districts: Siddharthnagar, Maharajganj, Kushinagar and adjoining areas. These districts are expected to receive heavy to extreme heavy rainfall in the next 12 hours.
BJP President JP Nadda has said that when Prime Minister Narendra Modi stands strong with the citizens of West Bengal in the wake of Cyclone Yas, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee should also set aside her ego for the welfare of people. In a tweet, Mr. Nadda said her absence from the Prime Minister's meeting is murder of constitutional ethos and the culture of cooperative federalism. He said Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds the principle of cooperative federalism very sacred and has been actively working with all chief ministers, irrespective of party, to give relief to the people. The GST Council meeting held today had a very detailed discussion on COVID-related equipment. Briefing media after the meeting, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said several issues relating to it were raised and discussed. She said the Council has decided to exempt the import of relief items. Also, this exemption has been extended till the 31st of August this year. With rising cases of black fungus, amphotericin B has also been included in the exemption.
The Council has decided to exempt the import of relief items even if they are purchased, if these are meant for donating to the government or on recommendation of the state authority to any relief agency. Also, this exemption has been extended till 31st August 2021. So far, the IGST exemption was available only when you were importing free of cost. This exemption also has been extended to 31/8/2021. With the rising cases of black fungus, a particular medicine which is required for it called amphotericin B has also been included into the exemption list.
The minister said the rates of these exemptions provided were also very clearly discussed, and what has been suggested by the Fitment Committee was put before the Council. The centre has rebuffed a speculative media report published in an international English daily claiming huge gaps in reporting of COVID-related deaths in India. The Health Ministry termed the report to be completely false and baseless, adding that the country is using a robust mechanism to record COVID-related deaths from the very beginning of the pandemic. It said that, in fact, many deaths which are happening due to comorbid conditions in people infected with the coronavirus are also classified under the COVID-related deaths.
हमारे देश में एक एग्जिस्टिंग रोबस्ट सिस्टम है रजिस्ट्रेशन एंड रिपोर्टिंग ऑफ डेथ्स का, जिसके अंडर जो लोकल रजिस्ट्रार्स होते हैं वह जो स्टेट और यूटीज अपॉइंट करती हैं वो डेथ्स को रजिस्टर भी करते हैं। क्योंकि हम एक इन्फेक्शियस डिजीज से डील कर रहे हैं तो हमने यह बताया कि जो भी डेथ हैं अगर वो कोविड से रिलेटेड हो तो उनको कोविड डेथ माना जाए, चाहे कोई एग्जिस्टिंग कोमॉर्बिडिटी भी क्यों ना हो, और उसके संबंधित डिटेल्ड गाइडलाइंस मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हेल्थ ने और आईसीएमआर ने स्टेट्स को इश्यू की हैं, जो कि स्टेट लेवल पर फॉलो भी की जा रही है।
Niti Aayog member and chairperson of the National Expert Group of Vaccine Administration for COVID-19, NEGVAC, Dr. V.K. Paul said the international media report placing the death toll in the country at a much higher figure is merely based on assumptions. He added that where, on the one hand, the report derives its rate of infection figures from the sero survey done in the country, on the contrary, it has chosen to rely on a completely unfounded rate when it comes to citing the death figures. Dr. Paul said that as per the sero survey undertaken in the country, the death rate is projected to be nearly 0.05% of the total infected cases, whereas the speculative media report has assumed it to be at around 0.3% to 0.6%. Dr. Paul termed such kind of reportage to be a completely unfair, which is merely based on assumptions and bears no correlation to the actual scenario on the ground.
This is just an assumption and a feeling of some people, and therefore this is something which should have been not published, particularly in so-called prestigious newspapers. We have a strong mortality tracking system which has stood the test of time. Our sample registration system is respected the world over.
India's daily COVID recoveries continue to outnumber the daily new cases for the 15th consecutive day. Over 2,59,000 patients recovered from coronavirus disease within the last 24 hours. The recovery rate further improved to 90.34% in the country. So far, over 2,48,00,000 patients have already recovered from this infectious disease. The Health Ministry said the country is registering a significant decline in active caseload amid the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic. It said the country registered a decrease of over 76,000 active cases in the last 24 hours. At present, there are over 23 lakh active cases in the country. More than 1,86,000 new cases were registered in the last 24 hours. A total of 3,660 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, 20,57 lakh vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far. Testing capacity has been substantially ramped up and 20,70,000 tests conducted in the last 24 hours. The Union Health and Family Welfare Ministry has said that more than 1,84 lakh COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and union territories to be administered to beneficiaries. The ministry said the central government has provided over 22,46 lakh COVID vaccine doses to states and union territories so far. Of this, the total consumption of doses including wastages is over 20,48 lakh. The ministry has assured that 3 lakh vaccine doses will be provided to states and union territories within the next 3 days.
Vaccination is crucial in the fight against COVID-19. Healthcare workers, frontline workers, people aged 60 years and above, people aged 45 years and above, and people in the age group of 18 to 44 years are being vaccinated in phases. Despite the government's efforts to vaccinate all the beneficiaries in a fast manner, misinformation is being spread about the ongoing vaccination drive. A myth is doing the rounds that centre should invoke compulsory licensing. Here's a report.
Government of India said compulsory licensing is not a very attractive option since it is not a formula that matters, but active partnership, training of human resources, sourcing of raw materials, and highest level of biosafety labs which is required. Technology transfer is the key, and that remains in the hand of the company that has carried out research and development. In fact, government has gone one step ahead of compulsory licensing and is ensuring active partnership between Bharat Biotech and 3 other entities to enhance production of Covaxin. Similar mechanism is being followed for Sputnik. Moderna had said in October last year that it will not sue any company which makes its vaccines, but still not one company has done it, which shows licensing is the least of the issues. Government said if vaccine making was so easy, why would even the developed world be so short of vaccine doses? Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
Senior BJP leader and Union Minister Prakash Javadekar has criticized Congress leader Rahul Gandhi for his remarks against India's vaccination policy and termed it as insensitive and baseless. He said the Congress party is trying to thrive on the grounds of fear and attack the opposition party for continuously doubting country's capability to handle the situation. Criticizing Mr. Gandhi for calling out the government's COVID management strategy as drama, the BJP leader advised him to suggest Congress-ruled states to make proper utilization of ventilators and medical equipments provided to them by the centre.
जब प्रधानमंत्री देश की पूरी जनता के साथ कोविड का सामना कर रहे तब ये नौटंकी शब्द का उपयोग करते हैं ऐसे प्रयासों का, ये देश का और जनता का अपमान है। हम उनकी नौटंकी ऐसा शब्द नहीं यूज करेंगे क्योंकि उनकी नौटंकी जनता ने कब की बंद कर दी है। उनका मुख्य मुद्दा था कि वैक्सीन देना ही उपाय है और यही तो पहले दिन से हम कह रहे हैं और प्रयास कर रहे हैं।
Mr. Javadekar informed that the centre has so far provided over 22 crore COVID vaccine doses to the states and union territories totally free of cost. He also informed that the Union Health Ministry has already chalked out a plan to vaccinate over 100 crore people by the end of this year. Highlighting the success of India's largest and fastest vaccination program, Mr. Javadekar asserted that the centre is leaving no stone unturned to scale up procurement and manufacture of COVID vaccines in the country.
वैक्सीन के बारे में पिछले सप्ताह स्वास्थ्य विभाग ने दिसंबर तक 216 करोड़ डोसेस यानी 108 करोड़ लोगों का वैक्सीनेशन कैसे होगा इसका पूरा खाका दिया है। देश में तैयार होने वाले और बाहर से भी जो स्पुतनिक आया है इन सबका उल्लेख उसमें है। उसकी टोटल 216 करोड़ होती है, तो ये समझ लेना कि भारत का वैक्सीनेशन 2021 में ही दिसंबर के पहले पूरा होगा।
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi undertakes aerial survey of cyclone-affected areas in Odisha and West Bengal. Prime Minister announces financial assistance of 1,000 crore rupees for states affected by Cyclone Yas for immediate relief activities. Ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees each to next of kin of deceased and 50,000 rupees to seriously injured. COVID recoveries continue to outnumber daily new cases for the 15th consecutive day. National recovery rate further improves to 90.34%. More than 1,86,000 new corona-related cases registered in the last 24 hours. 20 crore 57 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. GST Council meeting decides to exempt the import of COVID relief items. DGCA extends suspension of scheduled international passenger flights till 30th of June in view of COVID-19 pandemic. Centre approves substantial hike in salary of National Health Mission employees in Jammu and Kashmir. And Election Commission postpones by-election to one seat of Rajya Sabha from Kerala due to outbreak of second wave of COVID-19. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे।
Union Minister of State for Chemical and Fertilizers, Mansukh Mandavia, has said that 50,000 vials of antifungal drug amphotericin B arrived at Mumbai airport today. He said the government is putting in a lot of effort to meet its requirements in the country. He thanked the Gilead Sciences and Mylan News for their outstanding support in India's fight against COVID-19. The Indian Railways has delivered more than 19,400 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen to various states across the country so far. The Ministry of Railways has said that oxygen expresses have offloaded liquid medical oxygen at 41 stations in 39 cities and towns in 15 states till now.
India has been receiving international cooperation of COVID-19 relief medical supplies and equipment since over a month from different countries and organizations. The centre has informed that these supplies are being promptly delivered to the states and UTs. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa today asked the Gram Panchayat Task Force personnel to buck up to stop the COVID-19 second wave from making an impact in the rural areas. He was addressing Zilla Panchayat representatives in Tumkur today. More from our Bengaluru correspondent.
Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa has asked the district administration to be vigilant as the second wave of the pandemic is making inroads in rural pockets. He, however, noted that the number of cases is coming down in the recent few days. He sought community participation in taking up measures to stop the spread of the pandemic. He said testing, tracing and treatment process is being strengthened in rural areas. Mobile testing labs are introduced. Vaccination drive is being carried out. Rural health infrastructure is revamped. He also assured manpower deployment in the health sector to improve treatment facilities. He informed that COVID care kits are being distributed to COVID-positive patients. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
Kerala reported 22,318 fresh cases of COVID today, with test positivity further declining to 16.4%. 26,270 recoveries were also recorded in the last 24 hours, taking the active case load to 237,819 in the state. 194 deaths were confirmed of COVID-19 today. This took the COVID-19 death toll of the state to 8,257 so far. 136,668 samples have been tested in the state within the last 24 hours.
Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma today visited Saru Sajai Sports Complex in Guwahati and took stock of the ongoing construction of the 300-bedded COVID hospital being set up by the Defence Research and Development Organization, that is DRDO, for COVID patients. Talking to news persons, the Chief Minister informed that Assam government had signed an MOU with the DRDO to set up a 300-bedded COVID hospital with 100 ICU beds and 200 beds with oxygen facility. Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh said that an 80-bedded dedicated COVID hospital for children below 15 years would be opened soon. He was speaking at an inaugural ceremony of a cryogenic liquid medical oxygen plant having a storage capacity of 10 KL at JNIMS complex in Imphal East District today. Mr. Singh pointed out that it is a matter of concern that positive cases among children are also on a steady rise. He said that the oxygen plants are operational in Manipur with joint efforts and collective hard work of all concerned. The state now has 4,000 oxygen cylinders and over 1,000 oxygen concentrators. Another ICU block having 70 beds with ventilators is also coming up at the JNIMS complex soon.
Several monasteries in East Sikkim district have reported a surge in COVID-19 cases over the past week. A total 85 of the 420 COVID-19 cases recorded today in the state were reported from Rumtek Monastery from 219 RT-PCR samples. The surge comes a day after 122 tested positive from the Nyangma Institute in Martan near Rumtek in East Sikkim. Even though Meghalaya is seeing improvement, the state government has decided to extend the ongoing lockdown imposed in the East Khasi Hills district to contain the spread of COVID-19 infection. Deputy Chief Minister Preston Tyangsong stated that the ongoing lockdown has been extended till 7th of June. Nagaland government has extended the statewide total lockdown with the existing guidelines till the 11th of June. The state has been under the lockdown since the 14th of May.
The Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, today said that suspension of scheduled international passenger flights has been extended to the 30th of June in view of COVID-19 pandemic. In a circular, the aviation regulator said international scheduled flights may be allowed on selected routes by the competent authority on a case-to-case basis. The DGCA said the suspension does not affect international all-cargo operations and flights specifically approved by it. The union government has accorded approval for substantial hike in salary of employees who are working under the National Health Mission NHM in Jammu and Kashmir. AIR Jammu correspondent reports that the decision in this regard has been conveyed to the union territory of J&K. The approval has been received for program implementation plan for the financial year 2021-22 that was projected by the UT government to boost the morale of the employees who have been working tirelessly in curbing COVID-19. As per the approval accorded by the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, in addition to annual increment budget of 5%, for the first time additional increment of about 12% has been approved as hike in salary for NHM employees through restructuring and rationalization.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Ganderbal has become the second district in Kashmir division to achieve the 100% vaccination target of all above 45 age group with at least the first dose of COVID-19 inoculation. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, one terrorist was killed in an encounter that erupted today between terrorists and security forces in Ganapura area of South Kashmir's Shopian district. According to the police, the encounter broke out after a joint team of security forces launched a cordon and search operation based on a specific input about the presence of terrorists in the area. Meanwhile, another encounter has broken out between terrorists and security forces in Warpura area of Sopore in North Kashmir's Balamural district a short while ago. Details are awaited.
The Election Commission has decided not to hold by-election to the one-seat of Rajya Sabha from Kerala. The Commission today reviewed the matter and has decided that due to the outbreak of the second wave of COVID-19 in the country, it would not be appropriate to hold the said by-election till the pandemic situation significantly improves and conditions become conducive to hold the by-election. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in a Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on Sunday. This will be the 77th episode of the monthly radio program. This shall be broadcast on the entire network of AIR and Doordarshan and also on AIR News website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR mobile app. It will also be streamed live on the YouTube channels of AIR, DD News, PMO and Information and Broadcasting Ministry. AIR will broadcast the program in regional languages immediately after the Hindi broadcast. The regional language versions will be repeated at 8 in the evening. Defending champion Amit Pangal in 52 kg category has stormed into the finals of the Asian Boxing Championship in Dubai. The top seed outclassed his opponent Kazakhstan's Sekin Bosinov 5-0 in a display of his master class. Earlier, six-time world champion MC Mary Kom stormed into the final of the women's 51 kg category Asian Boxing Championships in Dubai.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi is likely to have partly cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between 26 and 37 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. The minimum temperature will be 27 and the maximum will be 35. Chennai is expected to have partly cloudy sky. The temperature will vary between 29 and 41 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain or thunderstorm. Srinagar will have a mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Jammu will have a mainly clear sky. Leh is expected to have a partly cloudy sky. Gilgit will have a partly cloudy sky. Muzaffarabad is likely to have a mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi undertakes aerial survey of cyclone-affected areas in Odisha and West Bengal. Prime Minister announces financial assistance of 1,000 crore rupees for states affected by Cyclone Yas for immediate relief activities. Ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees each to the next of kin of deceased and 50,000 rupees to the seriously injured. COVID recoveries continue to outnumber daily new cases for the 15th consecutive day. National recovery rate further improves to 90.34%. More than 1,86,000 new corona-related cases registered in the last 24 hours. 20 crore 57 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. GST Council meeting decides to exempt the import of COVID relief items. DGCA extends suspension of scheduled international passenger flights to the 30th of June. Centre approves substantial hike in salary of National Health Mission employees in Jammu and Kashmir. And Election Commission postpones by-election to one seat of Rajya Sabha from Kerala due to the outbreak of the second wave of COVID-19. And with that we end the evening news. Good night.